All right. Hello, everyone. This is the college's 9 and 10 variety hour, and this week we will be talking about anime. But before we begin, let's do a little bit of a shop sponsor because shop is popping off right now. So shop is basically, let me see if I can get this. Shop is UCSC's Student Health Outreach and Promotion Program. So right now, today is 420, so they're doing a little bit of information on weed, marijuana, stuff like that. But for the most part, they do a lot of cool stuff. Like you can get STD testing there. You can go and grab a lot of supplies for safe sex. And I'm pretty sure they're doing a lot of pop-ups on campus. So you should definitely check that out. I highly recommend. They're a great resource and something that, I don't know, it's just useful for everyone. Cool. So check them out. You can just look them up online and we can get into the program. So hello, everyone. My name is Cameron. I am a college programs assistant here at Colleges 9 and 10. I work within the activities team. I am a legal studies and politics fourth year, and I use she, they pronouns. Nathan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. My name is Nathan Song. I'm a freshman, and because I'm a freshman, I'm only a proposed major, which is film and digital media. And I have a dog in my room right now, so my dog might interrupt the show a little bit.
Don't worry, Sam. My dog likes to just barge into my room and just annoy the fuck out of me. Anyway, so we're talking about anime, and yes, we can get into our 3x3s, but before that, I want to say, when did you first started watching anime?
Man, okay, so I mean, I grew up watching like the original like Pokemon show with like Brock and Misty, and I on like Cartoon Network, like Beyblade and like shows like that would be on.
Oh yeah.
But when I really started like getting into anime was around middle school, and like I remember my first shows were like Soul Eater, and I think maybe SAO.
Okay. Sword Art Online.
Yeah, I don't really like SAO now that I've seen a lot of different anime, but at the
It's
time,
a good gateway one.
yeah.
Yeah. I grew up also watching Pokemon like everyone else, Digimon, Beyblade specifically, just the theme song can pop into my head every once in a while and I'm just like, ah yes, Beyblade. But actually through middle school, I was like super against anime. I was like, I am not going to be one of those Asian kids. And yes, that's a lot of like internalized racism right there. But I was like, absolutely not. I only watch Western media. And then my dumbass decided to watch Attack on Titan when it first came out. Not the greatest gateway anime, but it was mine. And it kind of all just spiraled from there to the point where I was just like, I am not a weeb. And I would say that to my English teacher and he would look at me and he'd be like, okay. It's like, you have dyed hair, you have a shirt, like an anime shirt on. And I was like, it's one anime, right? It's like, no, it doesn't matter. If your phone background has an anime on it, you're a weeb. Anyway. So that's where I got into it. And from then I have been watching I think I've only gotten to like 24 or 28 animes, to be honest. I don't watch a lot. It's because once I watch something, I kind of like stay in it for a while and I like consume all like the fan content, like the fan art and stuff like that. So it's not like I continuously like binge watch shows. I don't know about you though.
Yeah, I've seen. So I use a website called Analyst, where I just like because like when I watch movies or television, I usually use like IMDb or Letterboxd to keep track of things, because I just like to keep track of what I've seen, like put down a rating. So because I can't remember like everything that I've seen, so it's just like a little reminder. So I counted. There's like a little counter. I've seen, I think, close to 150 anime, including yeah, which is a lot, but like including like Ghibli films,
Okay.
and just all sorts of different anime. And Attack on Titan was also one of my like maybe like first like 5 anime. But I remember I didn't finish the first season because I didn't went into it expecting like this like amazing masterpiece, because that it was just super hyped up, and I didn't really think it lived up to the hype. But since then I've rewatched it, and I really like I really like the first season, and I really like the Attack on Titan series in general. and I'm thinking about starting to read the manga because I don't know how long I'll have to wait for the last season to come out.
Yeah, because they just finished theirs like this winter, right? Like their latest
Yeah.
season. Yeah.
Hello, disembodied
Yes.
voice of producer person, Christian. Hi, hello.
Hello.
You just threw out a bunch of terms that maybe not everyone at home really knows. Can you explain what a weeb is and what manga versus anime is? I am but a mere disembodied voice with no experience in the world.
No experience from the disembodied voice. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, cool. So I probably should have, explaining what a weeb is and what an otaku is. So do you know the difference and the discourse behind that, Nathan?
Between weeb and otaku?
Yeah.
I think I do.
Okay. So otaku is basically, within Japanese terms, right? Otaku is someone who consumes anime and likes it. A weeaboo, on the other hand, which is shortened to weeb, is someone who does it in a way that's super cringy, kind of gross sense, like kind of like they have basically fetishized a lot of Japanese culture, but their only experience is through anime. So a lot of it's kind of like people overseas who don't know what Japanese culture is like, think it's all anime, and then basically just like condense it into just that. And that doesn't sit well with a lot of Japanese people, hence the term weeaboo, which is why it's not like such a great term. But around 2012 and upward, I'm pretty sure, I don't know, the term weeb was actually, because everyone was like, oh, I'm an otaku versus like a weeb, and you didn't want to be called a weeb. But it got to the point where if you called yourself an otaku, you were more cringy than people who just call themselves weeaboos. So for some reason, in like, at least in the Western sense, it got flipped, where weeb was just like, oh, I'm a casual anime watcher, and otaku is like, oh, you're an otaku type of thing. And I think they both have kind of leveled out, so it just depends on how you're using it. Like if you just call it like, oh, I'm a weeb, versus like, oh, they're a weeaboo type of thing. So I hope that brings some clarification to what weeaboo and otaku is. Do you want to explain manga versus anime?
Yeah, so most anime are screen adaptations of basically comic books, serialized comic books, and the serialized comic books, or the source material, is a manga, and what you see on television is anime. And not all anime are adaptations of manga, but I would say the vast majority are.
Yeah. And the people who write, or the comic book authors, essentially are called mangakas, which is something we can get into a little bit later. But would you like to start off with your 3x3 and explain what a 3x3 is?
Yeah, sure. So a 3x3 is basically your 9 favorite anime, and it doesn't have to be like the 9 anime you think are like the greatest you've seen, because for example, there's an anime on Netflix called Devilman Crybaby. That might be one of the best anime I've seen, but it is not on my 3x3. And a 3x3 is just supposed to kind of encapsulate your taste in anime. So like there's some anime on my 3x3 that are maybe I don't know if okay, none of them are like bad, but they're not masterpieces, but it's just like stuff I like for certain reasons.
Okay. Would you like to give your 3x3?
Yeah. So the first anime on the top left-hand corner is Food Wars. And this was another one of the animes I watched when I first, in like the beginning of my anime watching like career. And Food Wars is about these, it's about this young chef named Soma, and his dad is like this, well, this is a trope in anime where like the dad of the protagonist is like really good at something or like really powerful, but his dad is a chef, and he goes to this prestigious food academy, and it is in a genre called ecchi, which is a little hard to explain. It has a lot of kind of like sexual kind of stuff. It's not like hentai, which is like porn, but
Yeah.
but it's like kind of riding the line a little bit. But something I really liked about Food Wars is the writing. I think it's very funny, and all the things they make in the show are like real things you can make. Like they have a cookbook, which is really cool, and I'd love to try it out. The thing is, it's all in Japanese, and I can't read Japanese, so I'd have to like find a translated version somewhere. And Food Wars is actually one of the first anime that made me want to read the manga. And it's sad to say I was very disappointed with the last like arc of the manga and how it ended. And the next one.
Wait, before you go on, I think we can just talk about Food Wars just to start off, but like I just want to say, like, yeah, like the whole sexualization thing, because every single time they take a bite of something, it's like they're posing in all the clothes ripoff.
Yeah, it's so like it's orgasmic.
Like, yeah. And it's a little hard to get through with all the fan service, but once you get through that, the dynamics between the characters is very sweet. You realize that they're just there for each other, and it's like, oh wow, you know, if you just didn't have all this fan service, it'd be a super really cute show. And you know, it is funny. Like a lot of times I've just been like laughing because it's I don't know, it's just an interesting show.
Yeah. And so a little fun fact about the show, the mangaka, the creator of it, is used to draw hentai or doujins, which is porn, and that's why I think it's an ecchi. And you can tell well, a lot of like doujin off. Oh, sorry, there goes my dog. Hold on, I'm gonna let my dog out just real quick.
Okay. As you're letting your dog out, I do want to say that my favorite character is Megumi, because she is an amazing sweetheart.
Yeah, so a lot of doujin or like hentai artists end up making anime, so that's just like a little fun fact.
Oh, and for context, doujin is just self-publishing. So if it's not like going through an official publisher, they just do it themselves. And sometimes it gets really popular, so which is nice. It's kind of like the equivalent of a zine. It's basically a zine, but you know. All right.
So the next one is Made in Abyss, and something that I find with like a lot of my favorite shows or films is like when you're watching something, you get like, there's this feeling I get if I think something is like super good, and this is one of the shows where I really had that feeling, and I think it's because of the world that the author of Made in Abyss has created. Because when you watch the so the show is about honestly, it's one of my favorite shows, but I don't remember their names.
I feel that.
So it's about a young girl, and she lives in this world where there's basically this giant hole in the ground, and then these people train to become like these like miners and explorers, where they go down into the hole and like take like stuff out to sell or to collect, and her mom, it was her mom, is like this amazing like miner, and then she like disappeared, so she's in this like little orphanage academy thing. And one day she's exploring, and she meets this boy who's like this robot boy, and he has like an arm that can shoot like a grappling hook, and it's about her and it's about their relationship and both of their journeys down into the hole, because like the deeper down like stuff happens, like you can like lose your mind, and there's like all sorts of stuff. But something that's like, I think the relationship between them is really cute and innocent, which is a really great contrast, because a lot of the things that happen in the hole are very dark and serious and like even violent. And only the first season is out in the US. There's a second season that hasn't been translated and released yet, which I'm really looking forward to. And something about, it's very atmospheric, and there's a ton of depth in the world that, at least for me, really hooked me in, and it has an incredible score.
By translation, do you mean dub versus like a dub version, or
No, it has. I don't think it even. If they have a subbed version, it hasn't been released in the U.S. yet.
okay?
And which definitely means there hasn't been a dubbed yet.
Okay. Oh, by the way, context for this: dub versus sub. Sub means subtitles, so which means everything is usually spoken in Japanese because it's a Japanese show, and then you'll just have the subtitles at the bottom. Dub, on the other hand, is when voice actors would basically they'll take voice actors from a different country and then they'll speak that language, so everyone who is like a native, maybe like American speaker, can hear it in English. So yeah. All right, we can move on to your next.
Yeah, so the next anime is One Punch Man, which is another one of the first animes I've seen, and I still think it holds up because I am a sucker for really great animation. And One Punch Man has not only great animation but really great action and fight directing. And I just find it very funny. So if it's about this, the main character Saitama, the bald guy, and he is so strong that he can defeat anything with one punch. And this is in a world where there's superheroes, and he's just like his little like not tagline, but his little thing is that he's a superhero for fun or as a hobby. And he's such kind of like a kind of bland and shallow character, which is surprising for a show and a manga, because I read the manga, for a show or a manga that is this good. And it's because all the supporting characters are very interesting. It's very action packed, and it's very fun. So it doesn't have a slow moment, and when it does, it doesn't really focus on Saitama. It focuses on the characters around him, and I think that is I think that's really interesting. And one of the things about like some of my favorite movies is it has a really compelling or really great villain, and oftentimes the best protagonists are the ones who have the best antagonists. So I think that approach really shines with One Punch Man because of all the different characters, such as Genos, the cyborg guy right behind him. He is so basically his whole like family and his town was murdered by like this evil robot guy, and he was like almost killed, so he gets saved and turned into this robot, and is like is trying to seek vengeance basically. And then it's kind of funny because that whole story kind of gets sidetracked because he becomes Saitama's student because he sees his like overwhelming power.
Wait, so this movie or this show is basically satire of shonen, which is most action movies and stuff or action anime, which is basically a genre. You said that it was a compelling like hero versus villain dynamic. I don't know. For me, One Punch Man doesn't really do it for me. I mean, I understand like it was appealing, right? It's funny and stuff like that. But for me, it was just kind of like, I'm like, yes, a satire of shonen. But like for me, the quiet moments were probably more like gripping than actually any of the action for some reason. I don't know. That's just a hot take though.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I think it's because like one of my favorite aspects of the show is everybody's relationship with Saitama, because he so they're in this like society that has all these superheroes, and there's like this whole system of how like superheroes work, and he just does not listen to that at all. And he like doesn't care about anything really because he's just so strong.
Yeah, he's just trying to live his life. He's like, fuck it,
Yeah, and something that's really funny is, okay, so he wasn't originally bald, and he became so strong that he lost his hair and became bald. And one of the like gags in the show is the way he got super strong is he did I think it was 100 push-ups, 100 sit-ups, and a 10-kilometer run every day, and ate a banana every day, and that was it. And that's just how he got super strong. So the next show, which is the yeah right there, the yeah, that one right there, is Samurai Champloo. And I absolutely love this show. This show was, I watched on YouTube. Funimation I don't know if it's still up, but Funimation had uploaded it with subtitles for free, which is really cool, and anyone can watch it. And so I'm a big hip hop head,
Mhm.
and I think that's one of the reasons why I like this show so much.
Yeah,
The
I heard the
soundtrack,
OST was amazing.
yeah, the soundtrack is done by Nujabes, which is uh, kind of like one of the godfathers, along with like Jay Dilla, with like lo-fi hip hop.
Hmm.
And so the, like, for anyone who likes the like lo-fi hip hop steady beat kind of thing, the soundtrack is super vibey. It's got bops, it's got everything, and it's got fantastic animation and direction, and that's because it's made by the director who directed Cowboy Bebop, which is a pretty well-known and well-regarded show, also known for its music. And it doesn't have like this amazingly deep story or anything. It's relatively simple, but it does it very well. So it's about these three. The girl is Fu, the guy in the red is Mugen, and again I'm forgetting
His name
the
is
guy.
Jin.
Jin, right? Yeah, okay. So there's Jin, Mugen, and Fu, and Fu is looking for this mysterious figure, which is the samurai that smells of sunflowers. So she finds Jin and Mugen, and they kind of butt heads, and everything about them is the opposite. Jin is very kind of like, not like straightforward, but he kind of like is more of like a kind of a rule follower. He sticks to tradition. He's like a traditional samurai. And then Mugen is very like wild and kind of crazy and ecstatic, a little unpredictable, and that's reflected in his fighting style. He'll like, it's modeled after breakdancing, so it's like another like kind of callback to hip hop. And he like will flip around. His sword doesn't look like a traditional Japanese sword. So they're the complete opposite of each other, and they play well off of each other. So she recruits them both to help her find the samurai in flowers, and it's every episode has like its own little story. It's only one season long. So they just, on their journey, they have all these little subplots that go on, and it's very fun to see all of those. And it's animated well, and and it concludes very well. It has a great final action scene, and it has a great overall conclusion.
Watch this one.
Yeah, I have, this is on my to-do list or to watch list, as well as Samurai, or not Samurai, Cowboy Bebop, which unfortunately I haven't seen neither of them, but I heard they're really good.
Personally, I like this one more than Cowboy Bebop.
I heard that this one's better. But either way, if you watch either one of them, it's kind of like the signifier that in the anime community you have taste.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, what's your next one?
The one next to it is my all-time favorite anime, and maybe one of my all-time favorite shows ever. It's my background. It's Nietzsche, which I have found. I recommend this to every anime watcher I know, and something I have found is that it's kind of an acquired taste. And it's a comedy show, and it's a lot of it is visual comedy, and it's made by one of the most well-regarded, especially animation-wise, studios, which is Kyoto Animations. I think this show is like one of the funniest things I have ever seen. I've seen this show maybe 4 or 5 times. It's only 2 seasons long, but I've seen this show maybe 4 or 5 times, and every time it's just as funny. And I notice like just little minor details that I didn't notice the previous time. Like, and I think it was the first or second episode, the principal of the school is talking on a stage in a microphone with all these like giant speakers. And then I think it was like my third watch, I noticed that the cord on the microphone is cut. Like, it doesn't have a cord to anywhere. So like all these speakers and microphones aren't like working or doing anything. And I just like noticed that, and I thought it was so funny. I like laughed for like I had to pause it. I just thought it was hilarious. And then like I recommended it to one of my best friends, and they're like, yeah, it was just kind of boring.
Really?
Yeah. So it's kind of an acquired taste. If you like the first episode, you'll like the entire series a lot. I absolutely love it. I started reading the manga, which is basically the same thing, except for there's even more like skits and gags because they can't keep everything in the anime, which is usual with all anime and anime adaptations of manga. And it's about these three schoolgirls and their first year in high school, and it's the blue-haired girl, the first black-haired girl, the one in the middle, and then the brown-haired girl, and the one on the right is the other. It's about like these two things, and then in the second season they converge into like one like overarching story. She's a robot and her creator is this like 6-year-old girl named Hakase, and she's also the caretaker for this girl. So it's like this weird dynamic where the little girl, she's the little girl's caretaker, but the little girl can also like do whatever she wants with her. Basically, like there's this episode where she turns her into a basically like a snack machine, and like different like levers and stuff will pop out with it like food. And the show is also structured in a similar maybe not a similar way, but to Samurai Champloo, but every episode has like these little skits. And so Nichijou means I think it means like every day or something like that.
Correct.
But like the English translation of the title of the show is like My Ordinary Life. So it's very I don't want to say grounded in reality because it's not, but
It's slice of life.
yeah, it is a slice of life anime, but what differentiates it from most slice of life is it's not as like boring, but because it's very exciting, and each episode is made up a bunch of little segments of different people in the town basically. But the main story revolves around the girls in high school and the robot and her inventor.
All right. What's the next one?
The next one is Barakamon. Okay. So I really like certain slice of lives. Slice of life is also kind of an acquired taste. Some people think it is excruciatingly boring, and other people really enjoy it. And this is one of the ones I really enjoy. So as I said before, I love great animation, and I really like the animation in this show because the main character is this calligrapher who is has a really great traditional calligraphy style, but he keeps not winning first place in these calligraphy tournaments, and it's because he doesn't have like his own like sense of like style. It's not his style of calligraphy, it's like someone else's that he's basically redoing. So he goes off to this remote like kind of like remote village, and he basically goes there to find himself and to find his like true like style of calligraphy. And this is only also one season, and he meets this little girl, and it's basically just about his relationship with himself and how he grows to find out who he really is, and it's about his relationship with her and the rest of the town. It's a very cute show. And
all
then
right, Demon Slayer
is I'm seeing the movie Mugen Train on Friday.
Oh shit, that's right, it comes out.
I'm very excited. Okay. Very excited. I love this show. As soon as I finished watching the anime, I read the manga. Mm-hmm. I love Ufotable's animation, which is the studio that makes Demon Slayer. I think they are easily the best animation studio, which is weird because a lot of the shows that they get don't have very good stories. So you most of the time just watch to see their animation. And you might know Demon Slayer because it's got really popular.
Oh yeah.
Especially like this past year, I think, like before COVID, I think it was like Ninja tweeted about it, and then it became this whole thing, and then a bunch of people started hyping it up a lot. So then the opposite happened, and people were saying like it's overrated, and there's this whole thing. But I absolutely love Demon Slayer. It's not like the best narrative work ever.
Yeah.
but it has like a relatively straightforward story, and characters are not like super deep, but they're just complex enough. And I think it's like character and story wise, it's very safe, but it does it very well at the same time. So Demon Slayer is about the main character, Tanjiro. He's a demon slayer. He slays demons, but he becomes a demon slayer because his family was murdered by a bunch of demons. The girl in the pink is Nezuko, his little sister. She's like this like half demon, like part demon. There's like part demon thing, and he's basically his motivations for the story is to both cure his sister and to like seek vengeance for his family. And then the two characters on the left are the like, so in anime and most stories actually, usually when there's like an adventuring group or a group of people, it's usually like a trio, like 3 to 4 people. And in this show, the 4 people are Nezuko, Tanjiro. There's oh my god, I'm forgetting their names, but there's it was Inosuke is the one with the pig head. He's this like really wild guy. I don't think this is a spoiler, but maybe cover your ears for like 10-15 seconds if you don't want to hear it. But like this like kind of like punchline or gag is that when he takes his mask off, he's like has this super pretty face, like
he looks like a royal princess or something.
Yeah, and it's like totally contrasts his whole personality, his fighting style, and everything. He's kind of like Mugen, where he's really like crazy and just like jumps around and everything. And then underneath he has I don't know why I'm forgetting his name too. He's one of my favorite characters.
Zenitsu, yeah.
Zenitsu. He is a there's like different types of like sword styles that they use to fight. There's like lightning style, fire style, water style, or water breathing in the show. And he's like a lightning one, but he can only do one move, and he's like this little bitch. So he's like scared of everything and he cries all the time, but he kicks ass once he like
passes out,
and he's like, it's like subconscious almost, and it's like his scenes are some of the most badass crazy scenes, but it's like he's not aware of any of it.
And once he's conscious, he goes right back to being like crying, and I'm like a kid, and I'm like, come on, dude.
Yeah, so it has some great characters. Something I like about this show and especially the manga, there's only been one season so far, but I like how it humanizes almost all the villains. It shows how all the villains are demons, and how they were originally human, but then like some tragic event happened in their life that kind of led them down this dark path. And it's really interesting. I think it's makes the villains more compelling, and it's even kind of sad when you see the protagonist succeed in killing them, but it's also kind of like a relief because they're like freeing the demons of this like being a demon and this burden. So it's got gorgeous animation.
Oh yeah.
And then right there is Beastars, which is on Netflix, and
the opening goes so hard.
Yeah, and the second season is coming out soon, and both openings go hard. But
actually, I think I like the second one better, to be honest.
Yeah, I think I like the second one's song better, but I think I like the like stop motion kind of style of the animation style of the first one more. But it's a show that some people might call you a furry for liking.
Oh yeah.
But
there's some scenes in there that it's like I was like,
yeah,
what am I watching?
there is a rabbit who is in her underwear in one scene.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but it's kind of like Zootopia, but a more mature version, and it's more of just like like a school drama, and there's also this dynamic of like the predator versus prey, and it sets up this murder mystery and then it kind of forgets about it, but I think it'll get
It goes
explored.
into like a mafia.
Yeah, and
I was
then,
so confused. I
yeah.
didn't know this was a school anime, so they're all in high school, and I was like, what? They're in high school? I was like blown. But anyway, continue.
Yeah. So and then they forget about the murder mystery thing they set up in the first episode, but I think they'll explore in the second one, in the second season. And the animation is unconventional. It uses this like kind of 3D CGI kind of animation, which normally like would put me off a little bit, but I got used to it and now I really like it. And it's about the main character, Legoshi, is this wolf, and it sets up the first I haven't read the manga, but it sets up in the first episode that like he committed the murder because he was like filled with like bloodlust and this like animal instinct, and he like kills this like sheep classmate, but they don't really follow up through it, so I don't know if he actually did it, but it's about basically him and his relationship with I'm forgetting. I don't know a lot of these characters.
Bunny girl.
Yeah, but the bunny girl, and she's like you know the stereotype with bunnies, they just like have sex a lot and have like a ton of kids. So she also has that kind of like stereotype as
She's a pretty strong character, though. I like how the way she deals with that stereotype. I think that was very almost like unconventional, but I was like, damn, you go.
Yeah. It the best part about this show is the characters, and you know the characters is about kind of self-exploration, and all the characters play off each other very well, and there's like almost like animal stereotypes that they do, which is like that, and then they personify kind of these animal stereotypes into more like people, which is really interesting, and it's a really great show. And then the last one on my 3x3 is Bleach. Now, I am the first to admit the Bleach anime is kind of mid. I think in shonen, which is like the main action genre in anime, there's something called the big three, which is Naruto, One Piece, and Bleach, and they're like the three biggest at the time. They were the three biggest anime. They were the three biggest manga, and so they're like grouped together as the big three. One Piece is the only one going on now, but
One Piece is never going to end. So
yeah, but yeah, One Piece has I think over 1,000 chapters.
Yeah.
But so Bleach is about this guy named Ichigo, and he becomes a Shinigami, which is like a Grim Reaper basically, and they help guide souls to the afterlife, but their main objective is to kill hollows, which are like corrupted like demon souls basically, and then they kill them and send them to the hollow world called Hueco Mundo, and it's like most shonen series, it starts out as one thing, and then the world gets infinitely bigger, and then everyone gets infinitely stronger, but it's basically just about him being a Shinigami, and then there's this evil guy. I'm not going to tell you who it is because it kind of spoils the first like 2 seasons, but this guy ends up being bad and really powerful, and then the rest of the series is about like stopping him basically. The anime, so this is one of my favorite anime and one of my favorite manga, but I stopped watching the anime twice because the show is 60% over 60% filler, which if you don't know what filler is, it's non-canon story. So this is based off of the comic book, but when the anime catches up to the comic book, they can't like make the show anymore because it's caught up. So the writers create their own story that isn't like actually connected to like the actual story. So, and oftentimes filler isn't very good, and Bleach has one of the worst filler arcs I've seen in my entire life, where they fight vampires called Bounce, and I tried watching that twice and I had to stop, and I stopped watching it for like 2 years, and then I came back and I really liked it. I'm very excited because the last season. So interesting thing about Bleach, despite it being super popular and super big, it never finished. Like the manga finished, but the anime never animated the last season. They announced that it's coming out either this year or next year. Super excited for that because it's one of my favorite arcs in this entire manga and show. Very excited about it. The animation it's like good, like really good generic kind of animation. It's not like super crazy or anything, but out of the three, it's known as kind of like the edgy one. But something about the world and the story is really, I just really enjoy. And so the mangaka, the creator of it, is Tite Kubo, and my absolute favorite thing is his character design. All the characters in this show look super drippy, or they look super cool, or both. All the characters are just super cool looking for the most part, and most of them are also very good looking.
You're like, they're all attractive and hot, so
yeah, and with good
taste.
Yeah.
All right, that's your last one, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess we can go into my 3x3. We have already passed the halfway mark, so I will probably be doing a quicker run of my 3x3. But if you want to like pop in and just say your hot take or opinion, just do it like right off the bat. All right, so the first one that I have is Mob Psycho. It's the same creator as One Punch Man, except this one I think, this one's much more well written, I suppose. The characters are way more complex, and the story is good. Like the narrative is amazing, and the animation is fantastic. A lot of people are put off by just the style in itself, which I don't know. It just looks like a cartoon to me. I personally really like this style. Like if I had to personally be animated into a world, it would be Mob Psycho style, just because I don't know. I find it endearing. But basically, the main character is a psychic, so there's a bunch of ghosts, psychic powers, and stuff like that. Don't let the first episode put you off if you watch it. The story, like, it's such a heartwarming story, especially the first season, which is my favorite, because one of the characters is kind of shitty. Like, that's the point. He's supposed to be a shitty character. Like, he's supposed to be taking advantage of this like 13-year-old kid. He gets so much better, but at the very beginning, I wanted to slap the con man because he was not. Anyway, it's just the way he's presented, but it's the way where he's not presented as a good person, and then he becomes one, and then you just realize like that's just how it is. But yeah, great messages.
On your whole 3x3, there were three things on it that I considered putting on mine. Okay. And I decided between Mob Psycho and One Punch Man, but I think I like One Punch Man a little more. Okay. But the one thing about Mob Psycho for me, which I don't think a lot of people share, is that for some reason the first third or half of each season seems kind of slow for me. Okay. And I kind of like lags a little bit, and I find just a little boring maybe, but I love the second half of every season a lot. Oh,
the ending of the first season makes me cry every single time. No spoilers, but I'm just gonna let you know, like, that one made me fall in love with the character Reagan, even though I absolutely hated him at the very beginning.
Yeah, Reagan is the con man.
I wanted to slap him, so I still want to slap him. I think he deserves to be slapped. But he's also a good person despite everything. So my next one is, I don't know what my next one is on this list. It's Promare. So this is a movie that's animated by the same studio as like Kill la Kill, and I'm forgetting the other one. Little Witch Academia, I think, and there's another one. Anyway, doesn't matter. Anyway, I bought the rights to this movie because I work in the activities office. So around end of May, we will be showing this movie. So please sign up on the registration. You can actually check this out on the UCSC Instagram. I have the registration link there. It's an amazing movie. To be honest, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. Like, going in, it's about firefighters and like people who can control fire. It's actually got a lot of like political allegory to like discrimination and stuff like that, which I didn't realize was going to be a thing. Also, the animation is one, amazing, and two, the soundtrack goes hard as fuck. Like, I listen to that all the time. It's beautiful. Do you have anything to say about
Yeah,
Promare?
it's kind of, there's a popular anime out right now called Fire Force. It's a little similar to that, except for I think Promare is does everything a little better.
Yeah.
Promare was also one of the ones I considered putting on mine. I really loved this movie. The story, I thought was like, it was good, but it wasn't like anything like special. But
It was just a story.
but visually, it was pretty incredible.
It was like serotonin was like shot directly into your veins in like that one scene.
Yeah, I absolutely
volcano.
love all the colors and aesthetics in the show.
It's such a good show. Like I just watch it just to like look at it sometimes. Like I don't really need to pay attention to the characters. It's fine. It's just like.
Is it a show or is it a movie?
Oh, sorry, it's a movie. It's a film. Yeah, came out in 2019. Also, it got pretty popular in theaters, just like how the Demon Slayer movie is coming out. To all the anime fans out there, don't be fucking obnoxious when you're in the theaters. Some people want to watch a movie without you screaming about it. Like, also be prepared if that's the case when you watch Demon Slayer. Like, I'm sorry, like people were pissed because some people went in. I mean, you can go in full cosplay. No one cares if you do that. Like, it's fun. That's part of the experience. Don't make it a shitty experience for other people because it's still a theater. There's still etiquette there.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, moving on to my
praying.
next. You're like, please no. All right, Jujutsu Kaisen. This one is super hyped right now, and I personally, you know how people are like, oh, I watched it before it got hyped. I don't care. I get into it because it's hyped. I like the fan content. I like the fan art. I like to see all the theories and stuff like that. I like to when there's a huge fan base where I can participate in. That's part of the experience of watching anime for me. I really like this one. It's actually pretty similar to Bleach. The mangaka took a lot of inspiration from Bleach. So if you haven't seen it, this might be familiar. A lot of people compare the main trio to Naruto, at least that trio, but they're better written. Like, at least the characters all have depth. So you're not going to have like a Sakura situation where, you know, if you don't know about Sakura, she's not well written and it's not her fault. It's the creator's fault, essentially. And she gets all the shit for it, even though it's like she had every potential to be super like well written. And she's still a strong character, but like, also, I have never watched Naruto, so I'm just saying all this shit out of my ass.
It's all true, 100%.
It's all true. Okay. Yeah, but for Jujutsu Kaisen, like you see, all the characters are like they're well written. They're super complex and dynamic, and the plot's really good. The power system is kind of like can be a little confusing. I don't understand what's going on in the newest because I'm reading the manga. I don't know what's going on. The culling games, I'm so confused.
I read the manga too. In the past like 10 chapters, I've had no idea what's going on.
I'm like, what? I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why do people have to kill each other?
There are so many different characters, and I also don't know what's going on.
I will say that one of the appeals to this one is that most shonen animes, which is the action ones, all focus on like teenagers, and this one does as well. Like, I'm not going to say that these kids aren't high schoolers because they are, but there's a lot of emphasis on some of the older characters who happen to be like 27 or 28 years old, which is nice as someone who is getting to that age and can't always connect to 16-year-olds. So all right, moving on. Also, the main character is like traumatized as fuck, but anyway, Haikyuu. So this one was also really popular. It's been popular. I'm not going to say much about it. Some people don't like it, but anyway, the character dynamics are one, really good, and two, I have never gotten as hyped about like sports in my life. Like the sheer ability for this show to make you like feel like you're on a team and like to be there, to have like your heart is racing. That's all Haikyuu. Like, and you're like, but it's just volleyball. Yeah, but it's volleyball with like taste. I'm not gonna say anything else about that, but if you want to say anything, you can. I just want to let you know that I got so hyped and that I understand why, like once you watch it, you're like, oh, this is why everyone likes it. All right, we've got 15 minutes, by the way.
Okay, I haven't seen it, but my friends really like it.
Okay. Moving on to the next one, we have Gekken Shoujo Nozaki-kun, which is Girls Monthly Nozaki-kun. This is basically satire of shoujo, which is romance anime. I found it fucking hilarious. Like, this is one of the very first ones that I've watched. Some people were mad because they were like, I'm not gonna watch a romance anime. Like, it doesn't focus on the romance that much, but like, it's so fucking funny. It's about basically a mangaka and all his like friends help him out with art and stuff like that, but it just plays on all the tropes of a shoujo and it flips it on its head. So we can move on to the next one. If you haven't watched it, please watch this one. It's my go-to. Watakoi, basically office romance, but they're all otakus or weeaboos, or like different types of nerds at least. And this one makes you appreciate or like look forward to adult friendships later on in life, because there's so much focus on high schoolers that it's kind of like, oh, like what are you gonna do once you're like 23 upward, right? And it's kind of like, no, like this is what life is, and you can still like romanticize your life and like have a fun time with friends and stuff like that. All right, move on to the next one. All right, Toilet Bound Hanako-kun. So this one's good. It's like a combination between like shonen and a little bit of shoujo. Not that much. It's like I got a little bit of romance. Anyways, just about these kids that are in like, I think they're middle school or high school, whatever. But the art style is fucking beautiful. Like if the art style didn't look like this, I wouldn't be reading it. But it's good, and the plot's actually pretty decent. And I'm reading the manga. I actually have the art book too. So the colors are amazing. We can go to the next one. All right, this is Dungeon Meshi. It is not actually an anime. They came out with an animated commercial, and I was so hyped about that because I thought that was going to be a preview, and they're like, psych, it's a commercial for some product, and I was like, fuck you. So this is a manga. It's basically, if you like D&D and like role-playing games and stuff like that, it's kind of like that. So basically these explorers of like a typical like Western fantasy almost, they go into this dungeon but they don't have food. Like they don't have enough money to get food because they all died in their last trip and they got revived, and now they have no money, right? So what they have to do is they resort to eating all the monsters. So it's basically like a combination between D&D and Food Wars. Because you know how Food Wars, the food looks really good? Mm-hmm. This is basically that, but in a role-playing situation. And the plot isn't... So the main like group doesn't have a lot of plot revolving around them. Like they have a very singular goal, and that's like to save the sister and whatever. But then there are different groups introduced like around them, and those groups have way more like political, like goes more to the world building, political interest, like all this other types of stuff. And it's interesting because the main character is just like going about their day, whereas everyone else is like freaking out around them, which is good. So I highly recommend. It's like you're not really doing it for like a super action heavy plot, but it's just endearing and it's nice. All right, and the last one I will say is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. A classic, and I do want to hear your take on this one. But to be honest, if we're talking about things that should be on my 9x9 or my 3x3, it's probably not Full Metal Alchemist. I just put it down because I really like some of the characters. But my taste isn't always the greatest, so I decided to go with something that is usually considered tasteful, and I won't put this one down. This one's known for its great storytelling, especially with the way that they've handled certain situations like genocide, political uprising, and like systemic like oppression and stuff like that. Like a lot of it is, they take a lot of heavy concepts and they address it in a way where it's appropriate, and it's like a tasteful way to address things essentially. Now, I know that, Nathan, you said you don't actually like it that much. I want to know
why. Well, okay. I think it's a great anime. I think it's like I give it like 8 out of 10. I think it's very good. But
what? Sorry. Go continue.
This is why I wanted to talk about that.
But Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is widely regarded as like a masterpiece, one of the greatest of all time, and I just don't think it's a masterpiece or the greatest of all time, because I put a lot of like weight in like a greatest of all time kind of thing. I think there's a big difference between like a 10 out of 10 versus like an 8 out of 10. And I just think like sometimes like I haven't seen this in a few years, but I remember like sometimes like subplots would just seemingly end for convenience, which was like, I remember being a little annoyed by that. I don't remember exactly which ones, but and another thing I wish that they did more was they introduced alchemy, which is their main like magic kind of like combat system in the show. They introduced it as this like pseudo hybrid between magic and science, and I thought that was incredibly interesting. But I felt like as the show went on, it just felt more and more just like magic that would just make stuff appear, and like like just like combat wise, just like pillars would come out and everything. And I thought a lot of the, like, especially with Mustang, I felt a lot of his like combat scenes were very bland, because one thing I didn't like about it was like Mustang would literally just stand there and snap his fingers, and that's like for the most part his entire combat.
I'm gonna combat that and say Mustang is a useless fucking character.
Yeah.
I trust him. If I want him to run a political coup, I trust him.
Yeah.
And combat wise, like, yeah, okay, he's badass and he has his snappy fingers, but like sometimes he's useless.
Yeah.
He is not a fighter, though. The whole purpose of Mustang is that you are meant to fight oppression outside of action and violence. He presents an alternative route to overthrowing corrupt political systems.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is producer person signing out. You can produce your own show. I don't care. Get out. I'm getting out. See ya. No, I'm kidding. You all are valid in your own opinions. I just want to provide entertainment and fun to watching this thing, and the opposite side of why people like Mustang.
Okay, Christian, I completely agree with you. I just like to shit on Mustang a lot because I think he deserves it. But okay, wait, is there anything else? Are those your only reasons? Because I'm gonna fight back on one of them.
And then there's also just stuff like I wish they took more time to I know I haven't seen all of the original Full Metal Alchemist. I've seen some of it, but I remember that like, you know, the episode with the girl who gets turned into a chimera.
Yeah,
iconic.
I forget her.
I mean, yeah, everyone. That is
Yeah.
Full Metal Alchemist, brother. The fandom's one joke.
Yeah, that's pretty infamous.
Son.
But I remember in the like first Full Metal Alchemist, it didn't all happen in one episode. It was like more drawn out, and I felt that suited like something like that more, because I felt it added more like gravity and like tension to the situation, and I think it really magnified the cruelty of what the dad did, as opposed to in Brotherhood. And the same thing happened with this is a spoiler, but a certain character dies in a phone booth.
Yeah.
And I know in the original they spent just more time with it, and I don't know, I think in like super like heavy like important and like situations and scenes that are supposed to hold a lot of weight, I think just spending I felt like they just rushed them a little too much.
Okay, I will push back on this because that version came out in 2003. So the very first one, which isn't Brotherhood, came out in 2003. The second one, I don't remember when Brotherhood came out. I think it's 2009. So either way, there's a really quick turnaround to when the second, when it was basically rebooted. Because of that, you're going to get a lot of fans who don't want to stay with the series if they're seeing the same exact thing drawn out the same exact way, which is why those scenes in particular are kind of rushed over. I understand what you're saying though, because if you only watch Brotherhood, then it doesn't then you're like, wow, that like they're just not going to address some of this. But at the same time, it's like you have to keep in mind that they already had a version of it beforehand. So that's my pushback on that. The second one is the magic system. I thought they explained it pretty well. I understand that it's kind of like the whole pseudoscience thing, but at the same time, it's like they get to a point where it's just kind of like, I think they focused mostly on the law of equivalent exchange a little bit, like that like from a certain point running on. That is what they're focusing on. Like things need to be equal because they've already kind of explained it. So I can see where you're coming from, but at the same time, I think we've seen enough of other different like forms of the magic and alchemistry and stuff like that come from different places. We see that with Scar's brother, and we see that with Xing, or all the characters from Xing.
Yeah.
I think it's alchemy.
Alchemy.
Yeah. Alchemy. Anyway, so interesting. Those were interesting takes.
Yeah.
This is
again, I think the show is very good. I don't know if it's a 10 out of 10 masterpiece.
Okay. I can see where you're coming from, because as everyone who says it's like, oh, this is like the like best anime ever, I can kind of understand.
Yeah,
I still think it's very well written, because I appreciate how the plots were like basically you're good to go.
Yeah, when I watched it, I was a little underwhelmed because but I think also my opinion on it is also partially shaped of my how I expected it, like my expectations going in.
Okay, so you thought it was going to be like
one of the greatest pieces of fiction I've ever seen.
Okay.
And it was
the
like
way people hype it up, it's like
and it ended up just being a very good piece of fiction, but
I also think a lot of it is fueled by nostalgia as well. I mean, like, not saying like I don't want to like undermine the writing and stuff like that, but sometimes nostalgia just makes everything like people like it's like, oh my god, this is one of the best ones. I actually want to talk about this one because or in High School Host Club, everyone, you said that you've seen it kind of?
Yeah, I've seen like over half of it. Okay. But I remember just like things like, it's okay.
Yeah, it's an okay anime. It's because for a lot of people that was their very first anime, and it holds like a very special place in people's heart. And everyone's like, I want a second season 1. Okay, after this you will be at 5-minute mark. Okay, so we got 5 minutes after this. But one, it's like, where the fuck was I going with this?
First people's anime, nostalgia. And 2, it made some progressive marks, but at the same time, it wasn't that progressive. Like, even at the time that the anime came out, it was kind of like, I'm like, dang, like, y'all did that. And some of it, I would say, if it was made nowadays, people would be like, this is like, I can't believe that they thought that would be okay to put into an anime. Like, some things obviously don't age well. Like, one of the characters, I'm not going to go into most of the controversies, but in particular, there is a school full of girls who is the rival school for like the host club, right? And it's an all-girls school. They play on like the predatory lesbian stereotype 1, and 2, it's like they were like Nazi saluting as well. So that was also not the greatest reference, especially nowadays. But just because it's such a proponent of like progressive, like, oh, gender identity, like people being non-binary and stuff like that, like the dad is or a cross-dresser and stuff like that, then it's like, you know, a lot of people thought it was like super progressive, but they still reinforced a lot of gender stereotypes that weren't necessarily, you know, the greatest. But yeah, that's what I've got. 5-minute mark. Christian, you can pop in if you want, but should we wrap it up around here? I mean, you got some time for some hot takes before we do some outro stuff, but you know,
okay,
it's on you.
Do you want to drop another hot take, Nathan?
A hot take I have. I actually I didn't tell you about this one. I just actually thought of it, and I just realized it's kind of a hot take. But I think personally, I categorize like Avatar and Teen Titans as anime. A lot of people are like, no, it's not an anime. It wasn't made in Japan. But like in Japan, all animation is just referred to as anime. And to me, anime is more of just like a style than like with like a genre with like certain tropes in it. Because like, for example, the two really popular anime that just came out by Crunchyroll is Tower of God and God of High School. Both of those are Korean webcomics that I read, but both are Korean webcomics that take place in Korea. And so the author's like Korean and everything, and while it's animated in Japan, does that make it an anime? It's like kind of debatable if you define everything by like where it's made and like who wrote it and everything. So I think just like shows like Avatar and Teen Titans are like kind of almost gateway anime. And I mean, why? I mean, they're basically anime. They look like it. They feel like it.
No, I actually agree with you on that one. I always call it like the Western anime, whatever, just as a distinction, or like at least anime inspired cartoons and stuff like that, just because some people are still like, no, anime is specifically from Japan. But at that sense, you're just basically saying, is it Asian? Then it's called anime, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, okay, there's so many other different, like, not all cartoons come from Japan. Like, why are we specifically calling it that? So yeah, I do agree with you on that. Like, maybe there is some controversy to that logistic sense, but for the most part, I understand what you're saying, and I like agree. At least the vibes are basically the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, we could talk about how a lot of shonen fanboys like to pit people against Goku, and
Oh my god, it's so fucking annoying. I don't care about Goku. Think about that.
I have like a love-hate relationship with this, because I think it's interesting when they like do all this like math and calculations to like power scale certain person. And like a common terminology they use is like, oh, this person is a universal type character, as in they can have the power to destroy a universe, or like, oh, your universal character can totally wipe the floor with this planetary character. So I think it's kind of interesting how they calculate everything, but at the same time, I think it's really really annoying, because they're just either really shitting on a character, or they're totally kissing a character's ass.
Okay, so I have two responses to this. So one, I think the can they beat Goku controversy, or like that discussion, is one annoying, and because it just depends on the universe. Like, for example, if you put Goku in the One Punch Man universe, Saitama's gonna beat his ass, because that's just how that universe goes. Like,
Yeah.
Saitama is like,
That's
I
his
can punch
character.
anyone. That's his character. Like, it doesn't matter how powerful Goku is. Saitama's gonna come over, punch him, and that will be the end of the story. One. And two, I'm pretty sure I saw some logistics that most anime girls, like the magic girls, like the transformation and shit like that, can beat Goku.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
True.
Sailor Moon, I'm pretty sure will go ham on Goku.
Have you
I
seen-
haven't watched that one, but I've seen some logistics on that, and I was like, that looks valid.
Have you seen Madoka Magica?
I haven't, because I know it's sad, and I refuse to. I refuse to make myself sad.
I think it's less sad and more just really dark, but
Okay.
it's very good. It's definitely worth the watch. I recently watched it on Netflix, and enjoy is a weird term, because it was very kind of dark and grim, but I really did enjoy watching it.
Okay. I don't know. All I know is that there were sad lesbians that die over and over and over again. And I was like, why would I subject myself to that? It's like Banana Fish. Everyone's like, oh, this is a masterpiece. I'm like, I don't care. I know you all are sobbing at the end of that, so I'm not going to watch it. I like to not be in pain. Thank you very much. Anyway, that is my hot take of the day. Oh, do we have time for one more or not?
Sure. But after that,
Okay.
let's do sign-offs.
Okay. Is style a valid reason for not starting a show? Because I'm not fucking watching One Piece. I don't care.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
I tried watching One Piece, but I think the show started in like 1998, so it just looks very dated and old.
Yeah.
And
I actually like the older style, to be honest.
I am the opposite. I much prefer newer like animation and like the whole newer animation aesthetic. But yeah, it's way too long, and honestly, I think the characters in One Piece look weird.
Yeah, the style is interesting. I don't think any of at least the girl characters have space for organs, but
Yeah.
yeah. I'm like, what's in there? An intestine and a liver? That's probably it. But yeah. All right, let's see. So, signing off because we are running out of time. But basically, before we end this, I just wanted to say that you can be a speaker, a student speaker at commencement, which is basically graduation at colleges 9 and 10 for the class of 2021. We are accepting applications. To audition, you need to submit a video of your speech by April 24th, 2021 to 910capc@ucsc.edu. And if you have any questions, you can also email them. If not, you can go onto the website as Christian is showing right now, and you can check that out. You should definitely submit a speech if you want to, because I probably won't be. Haha. Okay. And for an outro, let's see. Check us out next week. So obviously, if you're watching this and you might be familiar with it, variety hours are basically run by the people who work at colleges 9 and 10 or who are students here. Sometimes we talk about anime, sometimes we don't. I know for a fact that I did one about fandoms. That one was really fun, and we have plenty of other conversations that take place. So if this is something that interests you, you can either 1, volunteer to be on this show, or 2, check us out. And then we have it every Tuesday around, I don't know what o'clock, but this is being published later on. So yeah, definitely do that.
What are your names?
And
what are your names?
Oh, yes. And signing off, this is Cameron and Nathan.
I'm Nathan.
All right. And as we end, we can talk about the sub versus dub. I personally don't really